Welcome to Economics Daily with your host, Shane Saxton. Today we are on the upper track of Catholic Central's gymnasium as we bring into the no spin zone two highly regarded guests. On the right, it is Brendan Canavan, the genius. And on the left, it is Jacob Poorman, the recent graduate of Western Michigan. Never forget to row the boat. We are gathered here to discuss the fourth chapter of the greatly insightful book, Freakonomics, which we are reading for our economics class, period 2, Mr. Mach. I'll start by giving a brief interview and then ask each of our guests a couple questions about how they felt about the chapter. One stat that greatly stood out to me was that in 1980, in wake of Roe v. Wade and abortion being legalized, 1.6 million American women had abortions by this year. This took many criminals off the street and actually attributed to the drop of crime in the United States. How do you feel about this, Brendan Canavan?
About abortion in general, or how it affected the population?
How it affected the crime rates in the United States?
Well, I feel like it may have an underlying factor, but I'm not so sure that it is the main one as it's described as in the book.
All right, and in the book, Jake, can you list another reason that crime would go up or down?
Crime would go up or down due to gun control, and I believe that this is a factor, but not really a big factor, because gun control is controlled by the government, and it hasn't really affected crime rates in the United States as much as abortion has.
Absolutely. For example, the Brady Act was pretty unsuccessful in limiting the gun market in the United States because of the thriving black market in which guns are available at. An explanation for this, of the crime drop, was that there was the busting of the crack bubble, which profits for crack began to fall because of gang violence and how that was controlled by police officers. Police officers during the 1990s were said to have worked smarter in dealing with crime and were more popular in big cities, which led to the philosophy of cracking down on small crime, which would later reduce big crime. Canavan, can you talk about more of the beginning of the chapter and how that was put into effect?
Yeah, well, the chapter opens up with a scenario in Romania. Basically, a guy comes to power, and he wants Romania's population to be a lot bigger. So, Romania had been a very liberal country on the views of abortion. It was legal, but he made it illegal because he wanted to make the population bigger. And what they found was that this new generation that was born, he did succeed in making the population bigger, but the new generation was also very uneducated and didn't work as much, and the quality of life was much lower. And the reason that the book cites this is because there were so many more people. So then it goes into how in the U.S. there's increased crime, and in 1990 all of the analysts expected it to just keep going up until there was just an utter bloodbath in the streets. But it unexpectedly just went down, and nobody really had an explanation. So people started saying that it was because of the strong economy. That was one of the reasons. And the book counters this claim by saying that there was a strong economy, but it wouldn't have had an effect because most of the crimes, homicidal and such, aren't caused by lack of money. That's more robberies and such, but the rates of homicide and such went down, so that wasn't connected to the economy. Other people also cited increased sentences, harsher sentences, and that was countered by saying those sentences were only increased in parts of the country and not the whole part, and another part was increased number of police, and the book actually says that the police did account for what they say 10% of the drop in crime was, but not all the drop.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear that the man in Romania who came to power was eventually killed, and many people believe that if he had not or if he had not reversed the law on abortions, then maybe the people wouldn't have been alive who ended up killing him. Pretty ironic there. Jake, could you talk about the second half and just wrap this up for us?
The second half of the chapter was about how abortion was a good thing for the country of Romania and how it lowered crime rates. It also talked about how positive analysis versus negative analysis. That states like if you're going to be having abortions, but the positive of that is you're going to have low crime. Whereas the negative analysis would be if you weren't having abortions, you'd have more crime. It's pretty much stating that the more people that you have on the earth, the more people you're going to have committing crimes. And the less people you have on the earth, the less people that are going to be committing crimes. So I believe that that abortion, if, as the book says, is the biggest reason that crime rates are so high, that it's only because it's producing more people and not because it's producing bad people.
Right, so in conclusion, Chapter 4, entitled "Where Have All the Criminals Gone?" speaks of how in Romania there's a case study in which it has been more or less proven that abortions will actually get rid of criminals, because in most cases of abortion, not all, but most, those kids will be born into poverty and have a greater chance of being involved in crime. So as touchy of a topic as abortion is, the writer of this brings up a great point in how to counter abortion and how it affects the United States economy as well as the global economy. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Brendan and Jake, for your guest analysis. We look forward to seeing you next week.